Fellow Americans, I have spoken to you from this historic office on many occasions and about many things.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Anyone who is a member of the President's staff or the President's cabinet has an obligation either to support the policy decisions of the President or to get out.
The worst scandal of the Reagan presidency. Deal involving 3 countries and millions of dollars.
When President Reagan and Attorney General Edwin Meese appeared in the White House briefing room on short notice today, no one was prepared for their surprising announcements that money from the controversial Iran arms deal was secretly funneled to the Contra rebels.
On March 4th at the Oval Office, President Ronald Wilson Reagan publicly issued an apology for his actions for losing the trust and confidence of the American people.
A few months ago, I told the American people I did not trade arms for hostages. My heart and my best intentions still tell me that's true, but the facts and the evidence tell me it is not.
The loss of trust was a consequence of the Iran-Contra affair, a broiling controversy that plunged Reagan's approval ratings, the resignation of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the indictment of 14 other high-ranking administrative officials. The scandal was first exposed when Lebanese newspapers reported a concealed arrangement between the United States and Iran.
This year, he said, the U.S. sent $12 million in weapons to Israel, which Israeli agents then sold to Iran for much higher prices, $10 to $30 million more. The Israelis paid the $12 million back to the U.S., but transferred the extra money to Swiss bank accounts controlled by the Contras.
The United States took the money from the sale of weapons and used it to fund the Contras, a guerrilla force in Nicaragua whom the United States supported because they were anti-communist. Transactions such as these were previously prohibited by Congress under the Boland Amendment, which made any further funding with the Contras under the Reagan administration illegal. As the scandal unraveled, one man, said to be a key player in the sale of weapons to Iran, took the entire blame for the affair. This man, Oliver North, was a member of the National Security Council in the Reagan administration. From 1983 to 1986, Lieutenant Colonel North was assigned as the counterterrorism coordinator. In context of the Iran-Contra affair, North became the central coordinator of the arms sales from the U.S. to Iran and arranging that money towards the Contras. In the congressional hearings following the exposure of the affair, North admitted his involvement in the scandal.
I will tell you right now, Counsel, and all the members here gathered, that I misled the Congress.
At that meeting?
At that meeting.
Face to face?
Face to face.
You made false statements to them about your activities in support of the Contras?
I did.
He pled that his actions were in accord with his strong convictions to aiding the Contras and the philosophy behind it. With a public figure to aim all the public outrage, the question that remains is President Reagan's true involvement. Once the deceptive nature of the elite in our government was exposed, it affected how the public viewed the role of the president, and many lost trust of the Oval Office. Because of the Democratic majority in Congress, Reagan's foreign policy agenda conflicted with Congress's, which eventually led to the secretive nature of the whole plan. Reagan asserted that the first aspect of the plan, to have the U.S. hostages released from Lebanon as to fulfill his role of commander-in-chief, convinced himself that he was not negotiating with terrorists. As a result, the foreign policy of war on terrorism came to exist. The Tower Commission was a direct response to the affair. This came into effect on December 1st of 1986, appointing Reagan a new National Security Council advisor as well as Secretary of State. Primarily, the Tower Commission was created to investigate the scandalous Iran-Contra affair as a whole, but it also served the vital purpose of covering up Reagan's involvement. Whether his involvement was direct or indirect is still debatable and questionable. However, the fact that the affair occurred under his presidency proves that Reagan is to blame as well. Even though Reagan claimed to be utterly oblivious to the situation at hand, he was the one who authorized the arms sales to the Contras and allowed the entire affair to occur in the first place. Retired federal judge Lawrence Walsh states that Reagan had been given previous warning by the Secretaries of Defense and State that the operation was illegal. In choosing to ensue the plan, Reagan betrayed his nation. The secrecy, the discreetness, the involvement of people at the elite level, the covert action, the policy failure, the investigations, and the outrageous public reactions were all essentially forgotten and forgiven with President George Herbert Walker Bush's succession to the presidency. Nonetheless, the major implications, the skepticism of the executive power, the low level of trust in government, and political apathy, as well as negative influence on an individual's political efficacy that exists today, can find their roots in the fallout of the Iran-Contra affair.